Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we have for you the 2025 Lords of Middle-earth Tournament Finals Game 2 between Vayze and SavedByHim. And I am once again joined by bHilly. Go ahead and say
Hi,
hello.
everybody.
So tournament organizer and good player in his own right. It's good to have him back. And well, this is your chance to go back and view the previous game before I spoil it. And it was won by Vayze as the Free People player. So they have now switched roles, and SavedByHim is now playing for his tournament life. It is a best out of 3, so if Vayze is able to win this game, they will be the champion of the tournament. And if SavedByHim wins his run as Free People, then we'll move on to a game 3 with tokens and bidding for tokens, bidding for Free People. Yep. I've moved ahead to the declaration. SavedByHim has gone for the relatively standard one captain or one companion out on the map. Gimli, Dwarven Lord, has been placed in Erebor, which gives the Shadow the one muster token. And of course, Gandalf Narya is the guide. We do not know in this replay whether or not he's chosen the alternate pair of hobbits, which is a fairly somewhat standard choice. Before we go too far, bHilly, do you like the alternate pair of hobbits?
I very nearly always play with the alternate pair of hobbits. It gives you some flexibility with your starting deployment of companions, and I mean their ability is pretty incredible. It's won me more than a game or two in Loam. There's nothing quite like canceling a 4 reveal eye in Mordor with those 2 hobbits.
Yeah, a completely canceled tile is hard to argue against. Yep, that's good. We'll take a quick look at the opening hands here before we begin. Círdan's Ships and Smeagol Helps Nice Master, while good cards, and certainly Smeagol Helps Nice Master is nice because it is a playable card. Maybe not useful immediately, but Shadow has an equally not great opening hand with We Won't Go Back and the King is revealed. So kind of weak starting cards for Shadow. Particularly weak cards for Shadow, I would say.
Yeah, those are pretty bad. The Free People hand, I'm of 2 minds about an early Círdan's Ships, especially in Loam. It's extremely likely that the elves go to war in Loam because it's extremely likely that the elves go to war early in base as well. But because of the need to muster keepers, it is very common for Lorien to be an early target, or for Rivendell to be an early target, or for Woodland Realm to be an early target, long before Dol Amroth or Minas Tirith will be attacked. And so the only downside, right, is that your Elven Forest pool is somehow even more precious in Loam than it is in base, where it's already quite precious. So it's a good flexible card to have, and then Smeagol Helps Nice Master. If you've got spare Palantirs, nothing wrong with that early game. And also, like, those kinds of cards, let's say you roll 4 sea dice in your first turn, you don't really want to move 4 times, unlike in base, because you don't want to be revealed and have the chief parked on you. So those kinds of cards are a good thing to be able to spend sea dice on if you don't want to just power move.
Yeah,
So
or
not terrible
muster the
cards for Free
dwarves
People.
straight down with Gimli or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. You can use those sea dice on the Gimli ability, exactly. So not terrible cards for Free People, but certainly one of the worst hands I've seen for Shadow in a long time.
Yeah, that I'm sure we could come up with some worse ones, but those are some pretty terrible ones.
It's pretty bad.
All right, well then we'll move on. Vayze decides to allocate 1 eye, rolls 1 more, and gets 2 musters, so that's pretty good. Free People gets 2 character and 2 will and a hybrid, so that's pretty excellent roll for Free People.
I mean, are we going to see an Aragorn? I think I probably would crown Aragorn here.
That would be fun. That'd be I can't remember the last time I've seen a turn 1 Aragorn crown in a Loam game, Lords of Middle Earth game. If I have, it's been a very long time.
there's a great irony that we just dunked on the king is revealed card, but if
Oh
Aragorn
yeah,
is
yeah,
is crowned turn one, it's
yeah.
actually a fairly good card. But let's
That's
see what
actually
happens.
pretty good. Um, well, we'll find out here, and it is Strider breaks off all by himself.
Lovely.
Now that does mean the Fellowship is particularly weak. They've quote unquote dealt 5 corruption to themselves, with the Gimli and the Strider
Yep.
popping out, but for a 7th die, or 6th die for the free people this early, and a permanent one at that. So, and sorry, I guess I should call this out. I've been advancing through the turns because it was relatively obvious. So now that Strider is broken out, he has moved down to Dol Amroth, to be crowned. Barad-dûr moved to Gorgoroth and then to Morannon. So, at least indicating Elven pincer move, but maybe that just swings out and hits Gondor in a minute here. Isengard was mustered to war, and now Saruman is brought into play. Of course, Aragorn is crowned. Farhad went to Nirhad and is now in Umbar, so threatening Corsairs whenever the Southrons get around to going up to war, and North Dunland to Moria. So that's
Yeah,
good
that
there.
that move right there actually
Hmm.
is one of the reasons why on a first turn Aragorn crown, I've actually taken to crowning Aragorn in Pelargir, which
Hmm.
I think I might be the only person who does that. But I think it's actually better than both Minas Tirith and Dol Amroth for a number of reasons. One
Really?
is then you don't have to waste a C die to make Aragorn safe. You can actually use something like an H to move that regular off Pelargir into Osgiliath. When you do
Hmm.
that, you can either take Aragorn with him and bring some other troops out of Minas Tirith to really stock up in Osgiliath, or you can just abandon Aragorn there in Pelargir and he can't be attacked because he doesn't have an army with him.
Hmm.
So this is like a piece of meta that I've been playing with. I actually think it's better than the other 2 options at this point.
Yeah, because of the ease of quote unquote abandoning him, or rather making him safe, depending on how you want to think about it.
That's right.
That's interesting.
That's right. And then from Pelargir, then if you do want to move him with a sea die or something, you can get him all the way to Rohan with
Yeah,
1
you can
move
still get
instead
him
of
to
with 2,
East Emnet for
which you need
dead
from
men,
Dol Amroth.
and he was going to be 2
Yep,
moves from Helm's Deep or whatever anyway.
exactly.
Yeah, interesting. And then with the spare hybrid here, using an Elven Ring already for the move. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like this. This is you always want to move once in Loam, and this also means that you get the Gandalf keeper die next turn, which you otherwise
Yeah,
would not get.
that's actually a pretty important thing to keep in mind. Yeah, Fellowship is safe, so no round 1 chief, and Morannon moves to Daggerlad. So they haven't fully committed to the north or to the west either yet. And then Free Peoples draws into You Know the Way There, which actually this early and with a weakened Fellowship could be pretty important, although you kind of want to wait till Gandalf dies so you don't lose his keeper die. And then Thranduil's
Yeah, it'll be
archers.
interesting to see if that gets played. Similarly, as we were dunking on the shadow card for the shadow character card that was drawn turn 1 there,
Hmm.
that card maybe becomes relevant if you know the way there gets played. So
Oh yeah,
anyway,
that's true.
fascinating.
The we won't go back.
That's
That's a good point.
the only time that we won't go back would make sense is if you actually see the way they're played.
That's funny. Yeah, you're right. Shadow draws into Palantir Vorthank and Madness and Horror, but a Swarm of Bats is nice. So that's
Yeah,
some
that's a great Palantir
situational
draw.
draws.
Um, I, I expect we'll see that played.
Cool. So yep, and then we move on to turn 2. 1 eye allocated. Yeah, still need to be focusing on other things. No more rolled except for Gandalf, so Gandalf betrays the Fellowship, but 3 musters rolled for both sides, actually. 1 character and 1 will, so Free People basically gets to choose a nation to go to war, and especially if the Shadow only has 3 attacks showing, so they probably won't tip their hand who they're going for real yet, or at least not until it's too late to really do much about it.
Yeah, they
Who?
have
Go ahead.
theoretically a fourth because of that ring.
Ah, yes, that's true. They're
So
holding one in reserve.
I I mean we may see we may see an early Rohan here, depending on how those
Mm,
musters get used, or there's also the option to use those musters to put Aragorn under threat. It'll be interesting. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
I think yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
In this
This should be
position
an
as
interesting
Shadow,
turn. I'm
what
not
would you?
exactly sure what I would do.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I would do here.
It's always tempting for me with early musters to just put everybody to war, just so it's done. But I
Yeah.
can see a strong argument for you just get three wargs or something like that, and you just bum rush Rohan before Gandalf the White is out, and you have to worry about the Ents or something like that. Um,
Mm.
that could be interesting. So we'll see what you say. Not good. Shadow chooses to put Sauron to war. Yep, that was going to happen at some point, and
Yeah.
brings in Gothmog.
This
That
is the
makes sense.
safest play.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Vase is doing here is the safest play. Um, I yeah, a very reasonable choice.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. Gun or the elves are mustered one towards war. Yeah, you've got a lot of musters, and I'd be a little tempted to put Gondor at least one down. Maybe he's just waiting a little bit. Dol Guldur is mustered with an elite, giving lots of options for Shadow yet. Fellowship moves.
Yeah,
Is
that'll be a
hit.
woodland. That'll almost certainly be a woodland realm attack.
That makes sense. Although thankfully for free they're holding Thranduils, so that'll be good. Um, hit but no reveal, so just a one. Certainly you just take that. About as good as
Hmm.
that could get. I think categorically as good as that could get, really. I don't know what other tile you would want. Yeah, that's about it. So, um,
Maybe a Smeagol tile there actually,
oh,
just
you think
because
so?
of the fact that you know you can yeah because you can bring in Galadriel
Hmm,
because Sauron's at war,
that's true.
so
That's true.
you know Smeagol wouldn't have been terrible there, but yeah, one's pretty good. A one there is pretty good.
Or even, I guess a three no reveal. You could kill
Three would have
Gandalf
been
and bring
great.
him back as the White immediately, and then
Yep.
get Galadriel. But ooh, a move to Eastern Emyn Muil, from Daggerlad. So the kind of doing like a reverse uh Elven pincer, where Dol Guldur goes north to Woodland Realm, and the Mordor army goes west towards Lorien. It is the same number of moves, if done efficiently, as going all the way to the north. It is a little interesting. We'll see if that pays out for him. The Old Forest Road guys, or the Carrock guys, move to Old Forest Road as is tradition, and makes sense here. Get some moves on the north, maybe get him into Woodland Realm if you're lucky, and get the north all the way to war, and then Iron Hills into Arab War before it's annoying and too late to do that is also nice. Old Forest Road is attacked. Strategy card of Swarm of Bats to prevent a theoretical scouts, and that guy is smoked. North is moved manually one
Hmm.
towards war. Yeah, Shadow only has one
Hmm.
attack unless they spend the Elven Ring, so you could manually put the North to war, or at least threaten
Yeah,
that.
I really like this play. This is now what you know. Vase now has to choose between going to stomping on Dale and then letting a muster happen in Carrick,
Mm,
or covering up Woodland Realm. In which case, if they do that, the elves will be, or the North will be put all the way to war, which forces the use of the ring, which means then beginning of next turn, Thranduils can still get played, and that army on top of Woodland Realm has been weakened either because it had to move off into Dale or because it. You know, and maybe it'll inflict a casualty, but if that all plays out that way, that still leaves Carrick as a muster point.
yep.
Um, yeah, I really like this move.
And even if they move like half move to Carrock and Western Brownlands, or excuse me, Western Emyn Muil, the then you get the Muster and Dale. So
You get the muster in Dale. That's right.
Woodland Realm. So he
Yep.
decides to go
So
with
Vase is going
Woodland,
to attack Woodland Realm. Yep.
and
So we'll see the North go to war here to force the use of the ring.
yeah, probably.
Oh
Okay.
wow, I'm surprised by that. I'm surprised
chooses
by
to
that.
Thranduil's archers. I guess he's worried that if he puts the North to war and then musters with them first turn next round or first play next round, Woodland Realm just gets smushed. So he just wants to get the card in. Draws into Power 2 Great. Well, that
That's a
could
great
have
draw.
some distinct implications. And Shadow chooses to not spend the ring since they're no longer under pressure instantaneously, and draws Shadow's Gather, which is an excellent card for Shadow, especially to get like South Rune over to Dale, to sweep up the Dew line. So that card could quite possibly matter quite a bit. Things move along. We get Wizard Staff. I
Oh,
wonder if
Wizard
we'll find
Staff.
time to play Wizard Staff. That's interesting.
I
On
bet we
Caliborn's.
will.
The elves are going to
Wow, that's
be,
all the elves cards.
yeah,
The Caliborn and Power to Great and Thranduil.
yeah, man, that has the potential to be very rough for Shadow. Shadow gets Worn with
Yeah,
Sorrow
although
and Toil and Orcs Multiplying again. Um,
Caliborn is less relevant in
in
Loam than it
Lords,
is in
yeah,
base.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, because Galadriel can effectively do Celeborn's with a regular muster die, but yeah. So we'll see if Gandalf betrays the Fellowship again. One I allocated. Gothmog chooses to go hunting for the ring, and so does Gandalf. Saved
I
by Him
hate
says, I
Gandalf.
hate Gandalf. Yeah, some games,
Yeah.
that, yeah, it's how it be some games. Both sides with a pretty varied roll. No Will of the West rolled, so no Gandalf the White this round. Although this is the turn
Yeah,
they
but
would make
given
their move to Moria, so maybe Wizard Staff
that's right.
is worth it.
And so given the 3 eyes and this being the move to Moria, I expect we'll see Wizard Staff played for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and plenty of musters played. I don't think it's worth putting the North to war right now and forcing the Shadow to attack Dale, because Karok is just such an out of the way place, even though it's only 2 moves away. But we'll see what ends up happening here. Tough action rolls, yeah. Shadow takes their first move as playing a character card to play, or a character die to play Palantir of Orthanc, with the free people not having a Will of the West showing. They will have to either spend the Elrond ring or Galadriel ring, both of which are very powerful late game, to get rid of it, if they want to get rid of it now. Now, Shadow only has 1 Palantir showing, so the threat in this very second is not very strong, but chooses to spend the Galadriel ring to kill the Palantir. Just does not want that cycle. Interesting. Shadow puts Worn with Sorrow and Toil into play. Okay. Kind of pivoting a little bit to a corruption strategy. Granted, we're in round 3 and the Fellowship has only moved twice, so it makes some sense. Bit of thinking goes on. Eastern Emyn Muil goes to Western Emyn Muil. Could still loop back down to Druiden Forest and Minas Tirith. Gondor still 2 away from war. Wizard Staff is indeed played, so it's fun to see that card get some action. I'm a little surprised Shadow is not mustering the Balrog. I guess that would put the elves to war, so that's probably why he's not doing that. But it feels like getting that threat in place for the turn where free people is going to be moving to Moria seems worth it. Especially, well, I guess you're not going to lose your Gothmog die, so maybe that's the thought process there.
Yeah, between the still having the Gothmog die, the Wizard Staff being out, there's
That
I don't
kind of
expect we'll
turns
see
that off.
Balrog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moves to East Emnet, which is almost certain to mean that he is going for Lorien, although it could mean a quick Helm's Deep, maybe. And Eastern
it may be a
moves
quick
to
Helm's
Vale.
Deep, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I would do here. What would you do if you were free people? Would you try to protect Rohan or just treat it as dead?
Yeah, I think I probably might just give up on Rohan or do very, very little with them. Because if you can get Erebor mustering, which is fairly reasonable with Gimli in play and several musters showing. If you make Erebor a giant problem, Gondor can become a problem all on its own, theoretically. So then where is his points coming from? Just Woodland Realm, Dale, Lorien, and Rohan isn't quite enough. But maybe...
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I
if...
mean, what Vayze is probably doing there is trying to get that H out, because that means that Lorien is vulnerable, because then there's only the one muster left. So I think that army is going to end up stepping on Rohan, but if the H had been used to protect Rohan, it would have gone up to Lorien.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
guess
a
we'll see.
doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. I guess maybe a different way to think about this. Put all your effort into Rohan, or one of these dice or whatever. You're holding Power Too Great. You're holding Celeborns. Rely on those to hold
Mhm.
Lorien long enough. Maybe. Either way,
Yeah, well,
Fellowship
I mean,
chooses to move.
the move is happening, yeah.
Yeah,
The move
that
is
needs to
happening, so
happen and is not hit, so that's good for free.
yep,
And indeed,
there goes
Fold
Rohan.
and West Emnet are stepped on. Yeah, so Saved by Him is thinking about using his hybrid to reinforce Helm's Deep to some extent. What are you even doing?
So if I were saved by him right now, I'd move the North to war. Yep,
Hey,
that is exactly what he does.
yeah, just to... with the shadow showing only one attack, they'd have to spend an Elven Ring to get another.
Yep, and so now
Make them...
you force an attack. You force an attack on Dale, which means Rohan cannot get totally covered up this turn,
yeah,
unless you want to let Dale muster up.
kind of convenient. Dale is being attacked, I presume, from Woodland Realm, but maybe from Vale. Should definitely clarify that.
There's only one legal attack.
Oh, with the character die.
Southrons and
Okay.
Easterlings don't have leadership, and they're not at war. So,
But aside from the many, many reasons it couldn't be them, he does get his hit, but one back from the north. So good job, Dale man. And then the last muster chooses to spend it in Karok rather than like two regulars in Rohan. I guess I kind of feel like the regulars in Rohan is worth the time, because you could make Edoras...
not at war yet. Yeah,
Ah,
not at war yet. The
I'm
only
glad
thing
someone's
that
paying
could be
attention
for
here.
is
Yeah, that
Fords.
darn Rohan. They don't even have
Yeah,
Wormtongue in play, and they're just refusing to go to war. So, yep, North makes sense here. Especially, yeah, as opposed to like mustering Gondor or
yeah.
something silly. And then the Southrons and Easterlings are put a little closer to war. He's saving those Elven Rings pretty preciously. Do you think it would be better to at least spend one of them in anticipation of rings for the Elven Kings?
I probably would have spent that muster as an attack right there, and used the Gandalf die probably on Edoras.
Yeah, just to get it done. All right, next round, File and Guards. Both excellent cards. I would presume we're going to lose the way there, but maybe there's some other card here that's not as helpful. Shadow gets Captain of Despair and Half-Orcs and Goblinmen, both excellent cards, although Captain of Despair, the Witch King, is not in play yet. We do throw Guards. Okay, with Minas Tirith not being attacked, these are some pretty strong cards, and with the early separation of so many companions, the way there could really matter. So that makes sense. Fellowshipper is ready. One eye allocated, two more rolled, and Gandalf decides to not betray everybody he knows and loves.
Very, very kind of Gandalf to finally provide something useful.
Yeah, and even as he does, it's an army die, which is like, I don't know. What am I going to do with that? Put the dwarves slightly more towards war or something?
Hmm.
Or like retreat
That
fords
that
into
army
Helm's
die, I
Deep or
mean, could
something.
be. Yep, that army die could be a Ford's reinforcement, or it could be used to muster the dwarves. So I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
it's something. It's not an eye, which is nice. Generally pretty
Hmm.
good roll though,
Hmm.
because two characters means you could have pretty decent chance at killing Gandalf, although with Wizard Staff maybe less so. But quick break, and More thinking. Yeah, I've heard of this thinking. Well, there you go. Gandalf's die is indeed used to activate and move the dwarves
Mhm.
towards war. Southrons and Easterlings are put completely to war, threatening the one Will of the West, although I would imagine Vayze would be totally fine with a Will of the West on the, or excuse me, a day without dawn on this one Will of the West.
Yeah.
Since it's not particularly, Aragorn leaves Dol Amroth and goes to Lossarnach, so he's making his way around to Rohan. Although he leaves himself in Gondor for the theoretical, mustering in Lossarnach. So okay, to at least threaten dead men, makes sense. I'm a little surprised that wasn't a move, but I guess. Oh, now with Southrons at war, you're worried about Corsairs, of course. That makes sense. Half-orcs and goblin men is played in Woodland Realm. It's always nice as Shadow to get that up there, get that extra leadership, turn on the Devilry of Orthanc, etc. Dwarves are put more towards war with the character die, really, so interesting. Okay. Shadow moves Gothmog to Umbar and all the Nazgul to Woodland Realm. Still hasn't brought in the either Witch King, which makes sense for lords, and hasn't brought in the Balrog yet. The dwarves are put completely to war. So
A turn of power mustering the dwarves.
yeah,
Turn of power mustering the dwarves from Saved by Him. I like it.
yeah. What's the Shadow going to do? They cannot split their forces right now to take it, even if they spend all their dice, to threaten it. Let's get a full stack, and then let's just turn on the Northmen by liberating Dale or something, and just making a giant problem for the dwarves. Iron Hills is stepped on, and an elite is mustered in Erebor. Woodland Realm is attacked. Actually, thinks about it. Woodland Realm. I don't know. I guess you're considering maybe Rohan instead, but feels like finish
Yeah,
finish one thing at a
possibly.
time here. No card for Shadow, or yeah, no card for Shadow. I'd be a little
Yeah, none of those are
tempted to
very
do
good.
an onslaught here, but you don't have a lot of spares, or even a relentless, but just to get it done. But that's probably you don't have many spare guys up and due, and it's looking to be a fight, so no card makes sense.
Yeah,
A power too
there
great.
are no spare guys because especially because if this army melts, you should expect that Gimli's going to come out and retake Dale. So
Yeah,
onslaught would be pretty scary to use here.
yeah. Power too great is spent by the free people. The elves are at war, so it has lost some of its benefit there. And Gladriel is ultra scary, so maybe Lorien wasn't ever going to be attacked anyway. So a no quarter here could be good, and you're saving Celeborns. Shadow gets one incoming and one outgoing, plus the no quarter is 2. So the equation of free people hitting twice as hard as Shadow is holding. Last die, it's the Will of the West used to move the Fellowship. Makes sense, and they're safe. So Wizard Staff has not done anything yet. No free mouth. Yeah, we're almost to all the nations at
Hmm.
war actually, which is kind of fun. And Orcs Multiplying is played with that muster die. So the Mount Gundabad army actually could make a showing here. To that 5 regulars is enough to take out Karak reliably. So that could
Yeah,
quite matter.
this is a professional play by Vase. He's anticipating that he won't have enough to take Erebor, especially because the dwarves will probably put some more units on the field here this coming turn,
Mm.
and so Vase is anticipating that the Dew is about to turn into a bit of a mess, and I suspect he's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with the North at war, you can even do stuff just like leaders in Erebor and regulars in Karak, or vice versa.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Getting penalized for free people's military victory fund. I don't know. So, well, and maybe this is a good point to ask the question: who do you think's in the lead? I think it's a pretty good toss-up.
It's pretty close. I think if the combat had gone better in Woodland Realm last turn, I would think Shadow is ahead. I think it's pretty close right now. Free People has moved stably once per turn. Shadow hasn't. I mean, Helm's Deep is dead for sure, but
Right.
Rohan could still turn into a bit of a mess in the process of that happening.
Barring
Dew
some
Line could get very
crazy like
messy.
6-eye turn or something like that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
All right. Draw back our cards, and the Shadow has been. I guess the Gothmog die has been sticking around, so that they've had their full share of dice, as have the Free People. So that makes sense. Free People get there and back again, which could matter. Actually, since Gimli's already there, it would be a free move for none of the nations because they're already at war. And then another no quarter. Help Unlooked For is fun to imagine here, but I don't suspect Erebor can actually lift the siege of Woodland Realm meaningfully right now. As fun as that would
Yeah,
be.
there and back again will get tossed here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And yeah. Shadow got on they went, the red 3 tile, and Pits of Mordor. Pits of Mordor could actually matter a fair amount. Do they have enough regulars? Nope, they're out of regulars, so they will have to go fight somewhere, presumably Rohan, to lose some regulars before Pits could be played. But if you could get that in Mount Gundabad and Dol Guldur before those move to the Dew Line, be another bonus there, as we were talking. 1 eye allocated and only 2 attacks. 4 Palantirs rolled for Shadow, so this could be a turn where... Oh, never mind, Gandalf betrayed everybody again. 3 musters, though, for
Gandalf.
Free People. It's not quite enough. Well, and actually there's no leadership in Rohan, so if... although they do have Elven Rings, this might be the turn you could do a late round switcheroo and get Rohan mustering.
These are horrible.
Awful.
Horrible rolls.
Awful. At least
Although
the Free People can get 2 blue tiles in play.
Maybe this is okay for Free People.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Like Free People has an opportunity to get some of these cards that have been filling up the hand here. Getting File and Smeagol into play are maybe not a bad use of this turn, given that Shadow's making no progress.
Do you think you bother mustering Galadriel for it because you're going to lose the Gandalf die for 1 round?
Yes,
unless you spend Elrond's ring as well and put yourself completely out.
I would maybe even muster Elrond over Galadriel here.
Ah, really? Oh, so his ability would trigger? Or could trigger?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, both players not happy as they could be. So the single muster for Shadow is spent to make a Mumakil in North Rune. Pass. Shadows Gather. Wow,
and I think one of the issues for Shadow here is yeah.
With that many
great.
Palantirs.
But I think they're...
Go ahead.
Yep. I think that's a great play.
Certainly the Free People is glad they got rid of the Palantir of Orthanc when they did. Or, I mean, they would have this turn for sure with 4 Palantirs showing, but Shadows Gather puts a nice extra stack of HP onto Woodland Realm. Rohan is put to war. Yep. Elven Ring is spent. Gandalf's Elven Ring is spent to attack Edoras from Westanet, which makes sense. 1 incoming, none outgoing. That sucks for Free People. No card, no card. There it goes, but 2 hits from Edoras, so they did their job. And the Shadow cannot attack Helm's Deep right now because there's no leadership, so a free elite into Helm's Deep. Fords is attacked from Orthanc, no card. A no quarter is played here. Yeah, no scouts yet for Free People. This no quarter could be pretty good, though. No hits on Fords and... yeah, and there's the 1 hit. Ooh, 2 hits back, so 3 hits from Fords of Eisen while taking none. I'm not even sure I'd press there as Shadow.
And Rohan, as was possible, Rohan just turned into a complete mess.
Yeah, and of course they get their last elite, so wow. That's a giant pain in the butt, and Shadow still can't attack, so Rohan might get another muster, or even just another half muster of a leader into Helm's Deep before they're put under siege. What an awful turn for Shadow in Rohan. They do spend Gothmog die to draw into Lure of the Ring, so someday they can hope that will matter. Woodland Realm is attacked. Yep, let's get it done. It's Desperate Battle versus Daylight, the ever popular pairing. Now that is Celeborn spent, but again, Lorien's not being threatened, and yeah, thoroughly reasonable time to get used. No, one hit from Shadow because of Desperate Battle, and nothing from Free despite the Desperate Battle, so that's unfortunate. Spends a press, just wants this done. And spends Lure of the Ring. Okay. Only one hit, even with Lure of the Ring, so Woodland Realm lives to fight another round unless he presses. He does. No card, and there goes Woodland Realm. So they didn't do very many hits, but they certainly...
That's a painful combat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a painful combat for Saved by Him. The number of hits that the elves should have dished out there was significantly more.
Yeah, although making
well.
them press twice is quote unquote doing 2 extra hits, so the Shadow rolling poorly is kind of like you rolling well in a very backwards, not really sort of sense. Free People does indeed play the way there, so that's kind of fun.
Nice.
Shadow draws Grand, not yet playable, but a Dread and Despair could actually mean quite a bit. Final Elven Ring is spent. Man, Free People are going to be looking for I believe it's 3 rings for the Elven Kings that regains the Elven Rings for Free People.
Yeah, that's
then they
right.
spend it, of course, to move, which makes sense. They are hit. So you Wizard Staff here? Yes is the answer. Yep, cool. And on they went to put into play because, yep, you have a Palantir, and that's the one playable card here. So, yep.
I respect the instinct to move once a turn here. I'm not sure that I would have spent that last ring. That threat of that last ring is pretty important. Now Shadow knows exactly what the Free People is going to do, right, with dice.
Yeah.
Or in terms of what capabilities with dice Free People have every turn. I'm not sure I agree with that, especially with those playable
blue
tiles in hand. But
yeah. Maybe, but I mean, to some extent, the Elven Ring was costing you a die. I get, yeah, it's a tough choice for sure. Of course, Gandalf's die has not been helpful to the Free People very much so far, so maybe it's not that much of a loss.
I think there's been
one valid roll for Gandalf, I believe.
3 eyes. Yeah.
Shadow draws into Gates Are Closed and Olog High. If they can get Gates Are Closed in play before Moria is passed through, that could matter. They still haven't gotten the Balrog, so that's not been a threat yet either. 1 eye allocated. No more rolled. Lots of attacks. Free People, several musters, several movement, a will, basically perfect roll for free.
Yeah, we'll see. I expect we'll see some recruiting in some leaders in Rohan and Erebor, and then just a pure sprint here.
Do you? This is probably a completely nonsense thought. Is there any world where you muster an elite in Helm's Deep and then field battle if attacked from West Emnet? You have more dice with rerolls. You have a charge that you would be willing to spend because Círdan's ships, almost certainly you're going to deplete your elf pool doing elf stuff. And you have Imrahil to protect DA. Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think if what I would expect Vayze to do is not attack Helm's Deep, though, with that stack. He'll group up in Fords of Eisen first before he attacks.
Probably. So he goes with Rohan Leader in Helm's Deep. That's certainly the safer move. Yeah. And a Dwarven Leader in Erebor. Yep, just make those sieges absolute suckland. Woodland Realm moves to Dale, and Umbar gives up waiting on Corsairs and moves to West Herondor. They have a billion moves, so this might be a good time to get DA or even Minas Tirith under. Free people pass. Pelargir is attacked. No card, no card. Pelargir vanishes. And it's everybody at war. An early mouth is available for the Shadow, which is actually a super early mouth. That could be quite a big deal. Of course, an elite is mustered in Dol Amroth. The mouth comes in Minas Morgul, so that's fun. Mouth before Witch King. That's a fun bit of fun. Man, I can't say as I've seen that in maybe ever.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
Wow. And to think this is a game being played in the finals. It's a match point finals game of Lords of Middle Earth. This game really does have some wonderful nooks and crannies, so to speak, that can be explored. Pelargir moves to Lamadon and Nirharad to Umbar, just prevent some free people shenaniganery. I'd be a little tempted to do Mount Gundabad to Eagle's Eyrie instead, since that looks like a pretty likely thing, and free people only has the one muster. You can get Karok under control relatively easily, I would say, this turn. But it makes sense. He does choose to muster an elite in Dol Amroth, despite holding Imrahil. So maybe that will have been a bit over ambitious, but maybe it will pay dividends. And he is still holding Cyrdan's, and you could still use Cyrdan's to defend Dol Amroth. Fellowship moves against one eye is safe, barely, but safe. Gates of Power, or Gates Are Closed, is played with a character die. Yeah. It's making for a slow military move, although the Shadow military is at 5 points. If Dol Amroth and Helm's Deep fall, that would be 9.
I don't think both of those are pretty low probability, though.
Does that count wrong? Oh no, they have 3 cities. Okay. Those two strongholds falling is relatively low. Free people move again against the one eye. This time they are hit, and this time they actually have to participate in the hunt. It is indeed a one reveal. Do you lose Gandalf to the one here so you can muster him immediately?
No.
No? You just take it?
No, definitely not.
Free people
I would have just taken it, especially if you're going through. Yeah, especially since you're passing through Moria. That means 2 additional tiles because of Gates and Moria. I would not have taken Gandalf. I would not take Gandalf there. I would just take damage. Oh, yeah. That's what
he chooses no gates. Why?
Because he doesn't want to kill Gandalf.
Oh. Okay, makes sense. And then the Moria tile he has no choice on. It's a 2. Do you take Gandalf to that Gandalf 2? Go. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh. Worn with Sorrow and Toil. You're gonna lose quite possibly a good blue tile, and you lose Smeagol helps Nice Master. So at least you save file. Shadow draws into Rage. This could be a cities game.
True. Yeah. Good call.
And of course, Gandalf is brought back in, threatening Ents. Shadow then moves from Fords into Orthanc and West Emnet into Fords to prevent a turn 1 snipe of Saruman next round, which would be very much fun for the free people. And to just protect against Orthanc being attacked.
This is a fascinating game. Like, Rohan went from looking like it was just doomed to now totally fine.
Yeah, and quite possibly going to recapture Edoras. Like, has a legitimate shot at it if it wants to. You'd kind of have to want it, but
yeah, and that recapture of Edoras could come from Minas Tirith as well, as opposed to just Rohan. This is turning into a very interesting game.
Yeah. We'll lose the Gandalf die, but that wasn't doing much good anyway. And now it no longer has the all of the free people's dice do not have an eye on them, so that's nice for the free people. They draw into Gwai here, so no Ents, and every little is a gain. Not super helpful, but a shield wall is nice. Shadow gets Cruel Weather. That's a keeper. And Fighting Uruk-hai actually could be played for Erebor, but it won't be. What do you throw here as shadow? Normally I would say we won't go back,
Probably
but
we won't go back.
yeah, still.
Yeah. Well, the shadow doesn't know. Well, I guess they did see
It was
that
played.
Smeagol card has been played. So
Yeah.
yeah. What do you get rid of here?
Maybe Fighting
Maybe
Urukai?
maybe
Because where do you
fighting
intend to
Uruk-hai?
actually play that?
Yeah. Yeah.
They get rid of Captain of Despair. That kind of makes sense. The free people, but they're maybe okay, and we won't go back. Choosing to favor the Fighting Urukai and obviously Cruel Weather, which makes sense. One I allocated, one I rolled.
Oh
Again,
boy.
almost no attacks for Shadow. On one muster, so they can get the Witch King if they want. And start cycling the living daylights out of character cards.
Mm-hmm.
With the 5 Palantirs they rolled. Free people does get one character and one will, so they could hide and move. And an assortment of other dice. Very very reasonable roll for the free people. Not enough to make Mordor, but that's fine.
No, but it's worth it to perhaps go into Minas Tirith here.
And just sit for a while. Yeah.
To get rid of Worn with Sorrow and Toil.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. So they hide with their will, and immediately the chief is brought in, as one could imagine. The one move is made and is safe. Yeah, I kind of wanted to be hit and revealed, although reveal would mean you couldn't go into Minas Tirith, so that's kind of nice that they don't have it. But now an Oleg High is played. Yeah, I guess you weren't going to Cruel Weather right now as Shadow, so none of your character cards were actually cyclable.
Yeah, this is just clearing out some hand space to now draw a character card to see
Yep,
if it can be cycled.
played in Fords. That feels terrible for Shadow, as opposed to like Dol Amroth or something. I feel like I
Yeah.
would have risked Dol Amroth there just to make sure Dol Amroth falls, especially because then that would give you a Sauron unit to be upgraded by Gothmog later in case you desperately needed late game musters there. But that's hyper, corner play. Free Peoples
Mhm.
puts a leader in Helm's Deep and a leader in Edoras. Both. So Helm's Deep is
I
a
love it.
3/2/3 and Edoras is a 2/3/4. Or Erebor, excuse me. Shadow draws into Nazgul Search.
Oh,
That's pretty
yep.
good.
That's exactly the kind of stuff you're looking for.
Yep. File is played for the free. They've got these Palantirs and not much to do with them, so get those character cards out before they're swiped with Worn with Sorrow and Toil. Nazgul Search is played, and yep, the Witch King moves over to Osgiliath. I wonder if he puts a guy in Dead Marshes. He does not. Puts the rest of the Nazgul in Fords of Isen, though. That is enough to put reliably Rohan under siege in Helm's Deep, I would say. Short of Rohan moving out right now and attacking Westamnet, which would be funny, but not particularly good. So then the Fellowship is revealed into Osgiliath. Palantir is played for Gwai here. Now,
That
where's...
I don't understand that. Why go to Osgiliath there and not Dead Marshes? Why give the reveal or why give those
Yeah,
cycles?
why give the cycle and the reroll?
I really don't understand that.
It is equidistant to
Yep.
Mordor. That does feel like a pretty flat mistake. Gwai here puts Aragorn to Dol Amroth. Not to Eastemnet.
Yeah. No, I like it. Because between Imrahil and Círdan and then having a heroic death and shield wall in hand, he feels very confident he can hold it, and I tend to agree.
Yeah, and at risk of pointing it out again, no Sauron units for Gothmog to do anything with, and none in sight. Nearest one's in Minas Morgul. Gothmog's die is used to attack Helm's Deep, which of course politely goes under siege. Candles of Corpses is played with the cycle. Yeah, that, oof, 2 corruption, and draws into Shelob's Lair.
Yeah, that these that
That
This is just a straight up mistake. That fellowship should have been declared in Dead Marshes, not in Ascaleia.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, Although Vase, if or Saved by Him, if we're missing something, let us know. Helm's Deep is attacked by a shadow. Strategy card versus presumably a relentless. One of the relentlesses, presumably King, is revealed. Yeah, or the onslaught, I guess. Versus character card, it's heroic, so it's interesting. Yep. So relentless assault versus heroic death. You surely do 2 relentless here. You do. 5 hits coming in
Wow.
from shadow. Oof. And 2 coming out as free. They of course take their leader and the 2 elites, and so much for Rohan being a giant hold. Quite possibly. That does mean the shadow has to stop, but with a little bit of reinforcements, especially with Rage of the Dunlendings, and that's not that many dice to get enough regulars there to reliably take it. Galadriel is brought in for her die. That makes sense. And Shelob's Lair is cycled for Give It to Us. Oh no, this hunt pool is going to be trash. Well, no, there hasn't been that many draws. Smeagol is still in. 4 Smeagol tiles, which is pretty cool. So kind of 4 blues.
Yeah, but this is just those are 2 cycles, 2 big cycles
Huge
that
cycles.
Saved by Him didn't need to give away. Yeah, I'll be interested in if there was a reason for that. I can't think of one.
Yeah. Turn 8, and do know that my overlay is broken. It cannot show 2 rows of shadow dice, so they have 1 more than is showing up there, but surely it'll be allocated an eye. So, Free People draws Dead Men. Unfortunately, 1 turn too late now that Aragorn's shoved himself under siege. Did they have the regulars to muster? They did, so
Mm-hmm.
too bad there, but oh well. The sudden strike actually from that could matter quite a bit in Erebor, or like Erebor retaking Dale. But yep, and Book of Mazarbul, which would have been handy earlier. Nazgul Strike for Shadow and Monsters Roused, both excellent. I think you probably throw Grand. Maybe Rage. Yep, Grand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 1 eye allocated. 1 more rolled. A good assortment of dice for the shadow. No musters at all. And a Palantir heavy roll. Not gonna make Mordor this round for free. That's rough. That could be problematic. Oh yeah, and the fellowship was revealed, so he doesn't even get a move. He hides the fellowship, and Give It to Us is cycled into Lidless Eye. So yeah, just all the cycles, man. Galadriel's die is spent to turn a character into a muster to make an elite in South Dunland. So Rage is presumably going to be played soon. Free People do draw into Bilbo's songs. So that's nice, but we are a ways from Bilbo, or from Gollum. Rage is played with Palantir, so that's a big enough army that probably be capable of taking out Rohan, especially with no Ents in hand. 2 half moves, Nirn to Gorgoroth. So going to make 1 stack that's enough to put Minas Tirith under siege, presumably, or at least threatening it, and then Gap of Rohan moves to Fords of Eisen. Play the Bilbos just for the 1 heal. Get it out of the hand. I guess that makes sense. It's always a little disappointing, but makes sense. And the Gothmog die notably has not rolled a star, so gets to keep that die for a while. Leaves the 2 Nirn guys in Gorgoroth. That feels unnecessary, but okay. Minas Tirith is mustered. That makes a lot of sense. Fighting Uruk-hai is played on Helm's Deep and begins with a desperate battle. There's all 3 hits. Man, what a disappointing Helm's Deep for Saved by Him.
This
That's rough.
this has to be pretty frustrating for Saved by Him at this point. That he has put up some very good defenses, and that, I mean, Rohan just sort of crumbled.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. Osgiliath moves to North Ithilien and Minas Tirith to Osgiliath at this point, so he's pivoting to an attempted Free People's military victory. With Círdan's ships in hand, you could...
Certainly threatening one.
Yeah, you can threaten a pretty good take of Umbar. I don't know where you're threatening the other take. I guess Galadriel, although she couldn't leave, the elves could go take more likely Dol Guldur than Moria with the Balrog not yet out. But Helm's Deep moves to Westamnet, so going to either Minas Tirith or Lorien doesn't really matter. Every little is a gain for a regular. Oof, and a cycle. The Mouth moves to Gorgoroth. What?
Yeah, he's protecting Morannon from.
With the
from
one
that
character die
regular
just in
North Ithilien.
case. Yeah, because then, okay,
Yep.
that's actually really good. Okay, good point there. So if that had not happened, the Free People could use their one hybrid to move Osgiliath to West Horondor and North Ithilien to Daggerlad. And the next round, presuming they get a hybrid, Shadow has already spent an Elven Ring this round, so they can't muster. You take Morannon for free. You take Umbar for, not that much, especially with Círdan's ships, and you hope to high heaven Morannon can hold.
Yeah, and he'll still threaten Daggerlad with this H here because he wants to force that sea die to be used defensively in Morannon, rather than as an attack.
He's
Oh wow,
instead
he's attacking
attacking
Pelargir. I
Pelargir.
like that.
Okay.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Great.
Character card from Osgiliath, yeah, as opposed to the other place. The dead men here, I guess. Guess you're gonna overdraw in a hot second anyway. I'd be more tempted to. I don't know. There's nothing there that's good. Book. No hits, and Shadow gets one back. That is unfortunate. They press and just put the one regular in. Okay, well, takes a point from Shadow, but all of that to buy not much time, and the Westamnet army is cycling back around to Gondor now. It's going to be a tough. You have to buy like 3 more rounds right now. Now the Gondor pool is
Minimum.
It's getting a little tapped out. Yeah.
It's probably closer. You should probably assume closer to 4 rounds because you
Yeah.
don't have Strider's hide ability.
Yeah.
The sort of can you get through Mordor in 2 assumes that you have Strider's hiding ability and rings, and
Although to be fair,
neither of those things are true.
you're rolling 7 dice as free, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And Galadriel's, I believe, does have a character face on it, as opposed to Elrond's, which is not. I'll say it confidently, he said after caveating it, but that might not be right. An end card shows up perhaps a little bit too late. Nameless Wood could have made some difference, perhaps in Rohan. Swords and Eriador, an advantageous position is good. Breaking, I'm not sure you would even want to play Breaking here, but the Deadly Strife is going to be quite good for Shadow here. All right, can we turn it around? One eye allocated, and there goes the Gothmog die. Several musters rolled, but plenty of attacks for Shadow. Oh no, that's an awful roll for the Free People. Oof. 7 dice and only 1 movement. Apparently -7 on movement, and Cruel Weather is still in hand for Shadow. Yep. An elite is mustered in Minas Tirith. Druid and Forest is moved on to from Rohan, and South Ithilien from Minas Morgul. Just collapsing in on Rohan or on Gondor. Osgiliath moves back to Minas Tirith and Lossarnach to Pelargir. Osgiliath is stacked with a full army to then presumably move on Minas Tirith. Pelargir gets a regular. Minas Tirith gets a leader. So these are going to be good strongholds. And if the dice turn around for combat, this could go sideways real fast. He is getting to use up a fair amount of the Gondor pool. Minas Tirith is, of course, put under siege. Fellowship moves its one move. Unfortunately, it has 2 rerolls on it. And one of them hits for a Smeagol tile. So, hey, that's nice. Muster in the Balrog. Yep, now that you've lost your Gothmog die. Flip the Witch King. That makes sense. Yep, the Witch King went with the army from Osgiliath to Minas Tirith. This thoroughly makes sense as a time to switch to a military game. Rivendell gets a regular and Pelargir gets a regular. I guess I'd be a lot more tempted to put a regular in Carrock than Rivendell to theoretically recapture Woodland Realm someday. But maybe that's too ambitious. Shadow moves from Umbar to West Horondor just to turn off all retreat paths for Pelargir and moves out of Dol Amroth to Lamadon. Interesting. For having a whole round to do kind of whatever he wanted, it doesn't feel like Shadow. Maybe he's, stymieing Gondor, but it doesn't feel like he's made a whole lot of progress. To be fair, the Fellowship hasn't either. Regulars placed in Pelargir and a regular in the Shire. Okay, but with Rage already played, were you really worried about the Shire? Mouth is flipped. Pelargir is attacked from Lamadon from Gothmog. No card versus a strategy card. It's a shield wall. 1 hit from Shadow. This is shield wall, ladies and gentlemen. 2 back from free, so that's good. Press, stay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And we'll see like book here, right? We'll see
presumably,
for
yeah.
defense
presumably. And there are only 2 Gondorian regulars left, so.
Yeah. Yep, those advantageous positions are really good here.
Yep. Yeah. But not when Shadow rolls like that.
Just roll 6s.
3. 2 back from free. Press. Yep, you got to retreat now. Draws into Path of the Woses. Yeah, suck. And then the last Elven Ring is spent to get Lost Arnak from the Witch King. Words of Power is just spent for a cycle, and there goes all of Gondor. So, and he draws into Orc Patrol to salt the wound. This is going to be quite a hold. Now, Dol Amroth is probably fine for basically forevermore. Corsairs hasn't been played, but they would have to get quite an army to make that meaningful. So you're going to take Minas Tirith, and then you have to go find another point without losing any. Maybe you have enough time as free people. Although, and the elf pool only has three elites left, so you get to defend Lorien or Rivendell, but not both. Mithril Coat's a good start. Spirit of Mordor is funnier than it is good, although it could be played on Minas Tirith. And the Scouts is legitimately good for the North Ithilien guy, possibly.
The Spirit of Mordor actually, to me, feels like a Dale play.
Oh, yeah, I like that. The Rainbow Army and Dale.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 10 hit point, no leadership against a free people 8 hit point with 4 leadership. So if you can whittle that army down and get another muster up in Erebor, you've got now you could make do a very large mess.
And all you need to do is just touch Dale, and then you've got the North Army a lot more conveniently activated.
Right.
That's right. So what do you throw here? Probably Path. Maybe, yeah. Oh, maybe the Ent. You throw the Ent. Shadow draws into Balrog is come and Denethor's Folly. So Denethor's Folly is quite the draw here. He throws Balrog. Okay. And Path of the Woses is thrown. Yep. So the sudden strike chooses to keep the Ent for a theoretical Saruman snipe at some point. Fellowship declares into North Athelion out from under the rerolls. 1 eye allocated. No more rolled. Fair amount of musters rolled. And plenty of movement to get to Mordor, even with a cruel weather. So, uses a will to move. Safe. Muster in North and South Dunland and Orthanc with the voice of Saruman. So we are threatening a cities game here. Free People passes. Do you suppose you just move again right now? Just make this done. Not Nazgul search, Nazgul strike you into location or something like that?
I mean,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
Okay.
I think I would probably have spent the will. I would probably have spent the will on gates right there.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. A muster is spent by Shadow to put a Nazgul in Moria and a Nazgul in Minas Morgul. Interesting. I guess I feel like spending 2 of those as like elites in Moria to threaten one of the Elven strongholds would be stronger. But if we're just going to stack up and take the Shire and somewhere else to defend Dale, that makes sense. So we move all of everybody around everywhere.
Yeah, he got them to defend Dale.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, he was looking at the same thing I was looking at with the vulnerability in Dale.
Yep. So all of the leadership moves around. This ends with Gothmog, Witch King, and a bunch Nazgul over Minas Tirith. Bunch meaning 2. The Mouth in Osgiliath. Dol Amroth has 2 leadership, and Dale has 2 leadership. So kind of everywhere. And then, of course, the 3 leadership from the Balrog and Moria. Since he is not activated, although he could have activated him. But anyway. Swords is played. Yep. Worried about a city's victory. Draws into his scouts. Maybe that matters. Minas Tirith is attacked. Strategy card. Don't know what it would be. I mean, he chose to not spend the time to play Devilry of Orthanc. Or not, sorry. Well, Devilry, but Denethor's Folly. He might be playing Devilry. Versus strategy card. So it is indeed Devilry versus Shield Wall. There goes Prince Imrahil. 2 hits. Yep, 2 hits. So Shield Wall did its thing, and 3 hits out. So that's good. This is by no means a huge shadow army. If it's enough to take Minas Tirith, it's barely. But I think at this point he's mostly using it for cycle. Draws into many kings / Great Host. That's an excellent card for him here. Spirit of Mordor is played. Are we going to play it on Minas Tirith? It is indeed on Minas Tirith. For 4 hits.
Oh, wow.
4 hits. Wow. And now Shadow has to do something.
He's really needed that.
Yes. And now Shadow has to do something or risk losing the Witch King and Gothmog to a sortie, a very reasonable sortie as opposed to the sorties I normally recommend.
Leave now and never come back. That's very funny.
Yeah. Osgiliath and Druid and Forest move in to have probably enough, although it is only 5 hit points. At this point, it is certainly incorrect for Free People to sortie. They do pass. Balrog is activated. Free People draws King Brandsman, otherwise known as Shield Wall. Many Kings is played in Umbar, Nirhrad, and North Rune, the obvious locations that make sense. Will is it. Yep. We're going to Ents into assumably Mithril Coat. Only 1 hit from the Ent and then Mithril Coat. So, and then that kind of frees up Gandalf to go be somewhere else. If you had another character moving card, you could stick him in Minas Tirith. Could make a difference.
Yeah, I don't know about that though, because you're still open to Nazgul Strike, which we know they have, and Worn with Sorrow and Toil.
Well, I presume he's spent moving again with the last character.
And I think I'd much rather get rid of Gates right there.
Yeah. As opposed to get Mithril Coat in play, especially as you say, when you're in danger of Nazgul Search. The Southron armies combined into West.
Just remove the card.
Yeah. The Southron armies combined into West Horondor to go stack up on either Minas Tirith or Dol Amroth. Fellowship moves again as they must. they cannot possibly risk the cruel weather that Shadow is indeed holding. And they are safe, although Shadow does have Orc Patrol, so they could possibly cause another reveal. Southron armies are consolidated to Asgiliath and Minas Tirith with Mouth's ability. Ered Luin moves south and North Downs to Buckland. So, yep, we're just going to shore up the city's victory, get a really nice defense of the Shire. And for as absolutely awful as this game was looking a round or two ago, actually, Shadow could have a really hard time finishing this game out. Obviously,
Yeah,
how many sixes you roll.
that first between that first round of combat and then that, um, uh, and then
The big hit in Minas
Scouts
Tirith.
play
Yeah.
in Minas Tirith, yeah, that was 7 hits to 1, which is why the board looks very different.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's Nazgul Strike. So, yep. Mithril Coat. He chooses to roll rather than take Minas Tirith, but he does get his one hit for a 2 reveal. Do we lose Smeagol? Yeah, the Smeagol is effectively 3 blue tiles in the hunt pool right now, and we're about to do 2
Yeah,
more.
you
So
gotta keep Smeagol here.
Yep, so it makes sense to keep him here. We draw Gates of Power for a 1. Yep, you got to keep him yet. Although this is beginning to really rack up the corruption, and there's a 3. You got to lose him now, right? Mithril Coat. Yep, that makes sense. Into a Smeagol tile. So
There you go.
Mithril Coat did its thing. So the Free People is at what?
Yeah, but
effective.
if that had been
Go ahead.
if that had been gates are closed, removed, then you
Yeah.
pull that 1, you just take it, and then you go into you don't draw the 3rd tile, you still have Mithril Coat in hand. I still think I stand by my original statement that I would have used that will to get rid of gates.
Well, and there was a fairly high chance of an eye there. There were 4 eyes in the pool of
Yep,
approximately
totally.
14 tiles. So the Fellowship stands at effective corruption -2 and possibly effectively more with alternate hobbits, although again we don't know. With 2 Smeagol tiles that are active, still in play. So that's good. And 7 dice being rolled. This is and as we said, I believe the Galadriel die being one of them. So this is by no means a lost game. Draws Grey Company, that actually could matter, and Dain Ironfoot's another card that could matter. Shadow does get Morgul Wound.
This is a truly, truly crazy game.
It's actually come back to anybody's game. Free People could really benefit from several moves here. If they could get 2 or 3 moves banked this round, that'd be really good. But of course, in order to do that, you're really hoping Shadow doesn't roll like 6 eyes. But even if they do, you've got enough leverage you can pull, so to speak, on the board, with Karok and Erebor to regain some points. So you wouldn't mind Shadow taking a turn off. There's our hunt pool. 3 reds, effectively 3 blues if you count the Smeagol tiles. Not amazing, but there's a lot of companions left to be burned. I guess another point in spending Bilbo's song earlier was that then it was not in hand to get Worn with Sorrow and Toiled. So that's nice.
For sure.
All right. Here we
Well,
go.
let's see what happens. This is a fascinating game.
I'm glad it turned around. It was looking a little bit like, oh, well, maybe this will earlier, but so I'm glad it's turned around. 1 eye allocated. Do you think there's any world where you allocate more than 1 here as Shadow?
Yes.
You think you'd do that and put 3 or 4 in?
I would certainly consider it.
Mm.
Given the cards that Shadow has in hand, I would certainly consider it.
Oh yeah, reiterating, they have breaking, which doesn't really matter, but Morgul Wound, Orc Patrol. Although breaking could matter. I mean, if you draw a 3, it's still 3 hits. So, and Cruel Weather, which does not help. 3 more rolled 2 musters. Actually, pretty good roll up, and Galadriel decides to just betray everybody she has ever known and loved. So 5 eyes effective. Free people, of course, spend their first die hiding, which is good because Morgul Wound and Breaking were available. Voice of Saruman is used to threaten many places in the northwest slowly. But what else were you going to do with that muster? So decent use of it. Minas Tirith is stacked, and the Balrog moves out to North Dunland. Okay, just gonna go somewhere. And the Balrog is 2 combat dice, so nothing to be sneered at. And even if he does go towards the Shire, you could make a sudden quick pivot to Grey Havens. If the dice work out, that could really make a big difference here. The free people do still have 3 elven elites, so the elves can defend
Still
one
has
place of their
three
choosing.
elven elites, and notable that Círdan's still in hand since turn
Yep,
1.
that's true. Círdan's could defend the Grey Havens, which, boy, that's a sentence I've said maybe twice. The Shire is stacked from Buckland and Tower Hill, so a 3-3-0 there. That's pretty decent. Minas Tirith is attacked. All right, this is going to be a big one. It's character card versus strategy card. There goes Danes. So Cruella's Death versus Valor. And 1 hit from Shadow and 4 from Free. That's what you like to see as the free peoples clawing back. And once again, this army, if it's big enough to take Minas Tirith, it is only barely.
Yeah, Minas Tirith has turned into the meat grinder of the game.
Yeah, he's lost, what, 11 hit points there or something like that?
11 units, yeah. 11 hit points there now.
Ringwraiths are abroad is
He's
drawn.
done two
Sorry,
hit
go
points
ahead.
to 11.
Yeah. Ringwraiths are abroad is a good draw. Not helpful right now, but nice. And the Fellowship moves. So once again, here is the hunt pool. Pretty decent odds for free. Of course, you hate to see those reds. What do we got? It's an eye. A 5 reveal. That's a no bueno. So Smeagol takes a hit. We Shall Get It, of course, comes into play. Interesting. Shadow chooses not to play Morgul Wound here. Or even breaking. Interesting. I feel with this much corruption, a Morgul Wound would be certainly worth the time.
I agree.
You're not going to win this round. Instead, he consolidates.
Yeah,
Go
the
ahead.
reason for a Morgul Wound in particular here is if you play it and then stack 4 eyes into the box, you guarantee that an eye is deadly next turn.
Right. That seems categorically good. But, maybe, I mean, free people has to, as it stands right now, they're at 9 corruption asterisk and have to take 4 more moves. Maybe you just go win the game. And if you do this move, you can consolidate, as they do, South Dunland to North Dunland while you have the Balrog die, the mouth, and a character die. So you get 3 moves, and the free people kind of don't get to know where you're going for a little bit, especially if you do something like move to South Downs. Free people, of course, hide. He just makes an elite in Minas Morgul for the eventual take of Minas Tirith, I guess. I guess I feel like I would move with the mouth to South Downs. Free people has to spend 1 of their musters. Maybe that's probably not worth it. That's not worth it. They choose to spend it anyway in Rivendell. Balrog goes to Cardolan, a sentence I have not said that many times. So again, threatening the city's victory or Grey Havens. Free people spend an elite in the Shire. Yeah, and that army's big enough it could sortie, quote unquote, against the Balrog.
Yeah, that's right. In Tower Hills or what have you.
Yeah.
And then if Grey Havens gets put under, there's always Círdan.
Yeah. And yeah, that's actually a pretty valid point. I like that. And the North Pool. The North Pool is always so much bigger than it feels. like it should be. Uh, they've been mustering quite a bit, and but Ered Luin hopping over really made a difference here. But they've got still plenty to go. So and Ered Luin could muster and help reinforce Grey Havens if absolute worst comes to absolute worst. And then what do we do with our last one? Ringwraiths are abroad. Okay, for the effectively 2 movement. So Pelargir moves up to Osgiliath, and most of Minas Morgul moves out to South Athelion. Yeah, I was just looking real fast. I was like, where's a military victory for free people? I mean, if there's an absolute atrocious, 9 eye roll for Shadow, you take Moran and you take Moria. But that would be pretty darn unlikely. The Gladriel die will be gone. Shadow gets Shadows on the Misty Mountains and Black Captain commands. Those are great cards for them. I'm not going to put a whole lot of time into what they're discarding there. Free People gets I Will Go Alone, which actually could really help getting one of these captains off the top.
Yeah, it depends on if it's alternate hobbits. If it's regular hobbits, that's a very playable card. If it's alternate hobbits, you definitely want to keep it.
And a Daylight, so about as good as it gets. Shadow decides to throw Dread and Despair / Breaking. That makes sense. Ready. Free People have a shot. They have to hold Minas Tirith and the Shire or Grey Havens, which they have the cards to do, and then make probably 2, maybe 3 moves this round to threaten a dunk. 1 eye allocated. 1 more rolled, but kind of weak roll for Shadow. I guess not that bad. They have 6 attacks? 7 with the mouth, so thoroughly fine and not bad in any way. And the Free People, that's plenty of movement.
Yep.
Chooses to move with a character die rather than the will. Day Without Dawn has not been seen. It's a 2. Perfect.
Perfect tile.
Perfect tile. Goodbye, Boromir. Worn with Sorrow and Toil is going to hit. I Will Go Alone. Shucks darn. An Elite in North Dunland. Okay, you were going to spend a muster. That seems like a fine place to spend a muster. The will is spent to poof the Balrog.
Yep. I love that.
Interesting. So you're just all in on... Yeah, you were... Pardon me. You were already all in on a 1 more round. So just make the Northwest not really a thing that's going to fall. Another Elite in North Dunland. Okay, well, maybe the Northwest will still fall. And in fact, North Dunland moves to Cardolan and South Athelion to Osgiliath. Wow. Free People pass. Cardolan goes to South Ered Luin, kind of forcing the Free People's hand. Although that said, if they move to Tower Hills and are attacked, they will have no retreat path. No forward retreat path. As opposed to if they're attacked in South Ered Luin, they kind of get a free move. Free People does have a Scouts. But again, they have to hold the Shire, so it kind of doesn't matter.
Yep, they must hold the Shire here. Or, the other option is to retake Dale, which is pretty likely, actually, given the cards they have in hand, if they muster another Dwarf.
Yeah, so and I actually like a regular mustered in Erebor and a leader mustered in the Shire for the Free People here.
Sure, yeah, that's a very reasonable thing to do. And then if Shadow sees that and says, well, then I've got to get Minas Tirith and Grey Havens, you've always got Círdan.
Yeah, which will have a pretty good chance, especially once they move to Tower Hills. You can, well, we'll see. Those armies are pretty equally matched. It could go both ways. 1 more Elite in the Shire. That does make it a big enough army that you would really hope you could hold. Minas Tirith is attacked. Character card. Cruelest Death is cycled against no card, I guess. Oh, because, just no card is played. 2 in for Shadow, 2 out for free. We're going to press.
I think Saved by Him is correctly diagnosed that Minas Tirith is not what's going to hold. It's either going to have to be Grey Havens or
the Shire.
And actually, it's either going to have to be Grey Havens or Shire. I think he's correctly diagnosed that.
That's the force pool as it stands, so it's a friendly reminder. So, okay. Strategy card versus no card. There's the Deadly Strife on Minas Tirith. It is only 4 hits, but 4 is all he needs. And wow, Gondor just decided to not participate in the last moments of this war. Minas Tirith Falls. It is a tight game. Wow, this is pretty fun. Shadow, of course, draws, if for no other reason than to force the free peoples to take the first action, almost like a token. Círdan's Ships is just played. Yep, that makes sense. It wasn't going to be played in Dol Amroth, so just get it done.
I don't know that I like that. I think I would have waited until Grey Havens was actually under siege before I played that. That was Vayze just got a bunch of information
Sure,
by
but what
playing
else do you
that,
do on
right?
this turn? Do you use your hybrid to muster?
You just move the Fellowship again.
Yeah, since you're intending to do that anyway.
Yep.
Although is that you can save the character die as your last ditch attempt to take Dale, I guess, but your hybrid could do that just
Yeah,
as easily.
that goes back to my point about like that muster and Shire. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think a muster and Erebor there gives you a higher probability of winning.
Hmm. Black Captain Commands is played, and that is a pretty big hit for the Shadow or for the free people. This means Dale gets reinforced with leadership, and a bunch of leadership is put in South Ered Luin, and we have an attack on the Shire. Yep. All right. Foul Stench. There was no, so that's just a cycle. Okay. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. There's no leadership. 2 hits for Shadow. None
Oof.
for free. Oh no. Press stay, of course. Cycle into the last red tile. That's of course sad for the free people. Shield wall. Okay. Yep. Shield wall does its thing. 3
Yeah, I
hits.
wouldn't be playing cards. I wouldn't be playing cards here as free. I would be planning to hold those cards to muster into Erebor and then try to retake Dale. I wouldn't be playing cards here.
Mm. And do you think you hold literally to the last man in the Shire or near enough, or do you just retreat to Tower Hills and hope to retake, or just
I think
defend
you need
Grey
to beat
Havens?
that. I think you need to kill that army so it can't take Grey Havens.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I would be thinking about a Dale retake here
For sure.
and the value of those cards in a Dale retake because your probability of winning Shire at this point as free people is probably less than 10%, but your probability of retaking Dale with a muster and then an attack is actually probably about 50-50, and then with the cards thrown in it gets a lot better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have 1 left, a daylight. So total of 2 incoming to the Shire, 1 outgoing. Press chooses to retreat to Tower Hills, so just gives up on the thing. Now, that's enough that if Shadow was to ever attack Tower Hills or ever try and walk around Tower Hills, you could just go sit in Grey Havens and have
Hmm.
a 2-7-1. So to some extent that makes sense to me. That is 10 points for Shadow.
Mm. Yeah,
Whoa.
don't like it. I don't like this fixation on Shire. I think Saved by Him missed the opportunity in Dale here.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Either you muster an Erebor with this hybrid, I figure, and then
Yep.
attack Erebor, or you attack Erebor now with the hybrid and then move with the character die
And if this was your plan, there probably should have been a leader mustered into
in the Shire.
Shire.
Yeah. Interesting. And Bree, of course. Well, we're, yeah, okay. North Ithilien to Daggerlad, that won't matter, but it's a fun little half move. Shadow, what do you do here? Dreadful spells. Oof. On Tower Hills. Dreadful spells on Tower Hills. This and other original sentences brought to you by.
Truly, things never seen before.
Yep. And only for 3 dice, too. Pop, 2
God.
hits. So a 7 elite, 1 leader army is attacking the Shire. Interesting. The yeah, the downside of attacking the Dale, of course, here, which we haven't fairly brought up, you do have to leave a guy behind because otherwise Iron Hills takes Erebor. And even if you win, you have to win with enough that Woodland Realm can't take Dale. Um, which is not free for sure. So the fight for the game and for possibly the championship strategy cards, the one daylight versus the black breath might kill the one leader here, Kierden. All right. That's a good start. 3 hits in from
It's
the
a
free
very good
people
start.
and 3 out for the shadow, and including the leader, which is actually a pretty big deal.
That is, yeah.
Press, draw, and the worst part is shadow can eventually just decide to retreat to like South Ered Luin and like go through Harlinden to Greyhaven's next round. They've got time to wait if they really, really need it. No card fight. They are terrible. So these are a little confusing. 5?
5 hits.
Oh,
Oh my
5 hits from
goodness. Yeah.
shadow. And only 1 from free, or 3 from free. 3 from free is good. What are we reduced to? We're reduced to a 4-1-0 versus a 5-0-4. Press, no card. No card. Ugh. 4 hits for
You hate to
shadow
see it.
and only 1 for free. That was a lot of hits. So I feel like they didn't take one of the shadow hits there. There was definitely a shadow hit. Yeah. We're 1 dice too many, I think, for shadow, but that's probably not going to matter. Free people only gets 1 hit, and there's 2 hits there, but he's not rolling his re-rolls, and even then. And that's GG. Wow. Talk about, running into a wall full, coyoteing, Wile E. Coyoteing yourself onto a wall there. That was tough.
Yeah.
And the
Saved
2
by
hits,
Him
the
had
2 hits
had
from
a had
Dreadful
a bad.
Spells, and
Yeah, just that was. It's amazing that Saved by Him made it as close this game as he did, given
oh
uh
yeah,
given what
yeah.
the game looked like.
And that's a good point. This does mean that the tournament, we have our champion. So congratulations to Vayze.
Yeah,
Um,
congratulations to FaZe. Very very well played by him. I mean,
oh
he got
yes.
a lot of help from Java on this game, but he played it very well.
Well, and there was several rounds early where things were going wacky. Shadow had what, 3 turns with mostly Palantirs, at least 2. Um,
Yeah. The turns that where he was set up to put Rohan under, etc. But some of those things didn't end up mattering because of just how good his combat rolls were.
and again, Saved by Him, excellent player, excellent play, and a privilege to see it. I am a little curious if I can see this. I'm not sure if the replay allows it. Let's see. Were these alternate hobbits? Yes. I'd have to double check. Do you know off the top of your head if the name there?
Yeah, the standards are called Hobbit Companions. Hobbit of the Shire is the alternates.
Okay, so it is alternate hobbits hiding there. So, with this hunt pool, still touch and go, but even if you hit a 3, it's effectively 1. Then you hit, anything you want, cancel it with the hobbits. Not a foregone conclusion.
Correct.
Unfortunately, the last red is in Shadow's hand, which would make it difficult. But and the Northwest got to see some play. So, okay, all in all, an excellent game. Thank you all for joining us and watching this. Again, congratulations to Vayze on victory, and we'll see you all again next year. These tournaments tend to start. I know the base games tournament tends to start in January or February, somewhere in that range. Do you know when the Lord's tournament is intended to start next year?
Yeah, signups usually start in June, and the tournament usually starts in July.
Okay. So if you've seen these and are looking to get to join in, I'll put a link to the Discord in the description, and you can join in. Feel free to get in some games. It's a very welcoming community, and we'd love to have you. Until then, thank you, bHilly, and I'll see you all in the next one.